It does take a little longer to learn to code than you might think, but it actually can be a really fun and rewarding experience. And it's a full career path. So we've got 27 courses. It's all hands-on interactive. And the end value proposition is that you become hireable as a backend engineer.
Have you ever wondered how to make $1 million with social media? Meet Lane Wagner, who turned a question from his wife into a 7-figure business.
One interesting thing about our business model is that we're one of the only paid sites where all of the content is free.
He saw a gap in the market when his wife wanted to learn how to code in 2019, and since then has built a 7-figure business of completely free content. How many members do you have today, paying members in your membership?
7,998.
Wow. That is 400K recurring monthly. Welcome Lane Wagner to the show. Lane is sharing teachings at boot.dev that help normal engineers to become elite backend engineers. He runs a podcast about backend development, even interviewing leading developers. Lane, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on, Matt. This should be fun.
100%. Let's start this off with, what's your mission on the planet? And what inflection point made you start your business?
Oh God, that's such a lofty question. No, I just like teaching backend development. I've always liked teaching. It's nice to make money along the way, for sure. But I really have felt there's a vacuum in the industry when it comes to teaching backend development. So everyone online is teaching front-end development. This is super common. You've probably got ads at some point for some platform that's going to teach you HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And just very few people are teaching backend development, and specifically in a fun way. So we like heavily gamify the experience, try to make it as engaging and enjoyable as we can. And so there's kind of a few key differentiators between what we're doing and maybe some other, learn to code platforms that the audience has heard of.
Clear. And was there an inflection point, something specific that made you like, okay, this has to stop now, I have to change it?
Yeah, there was. So the story goes, my wife wanted to learn to code. So this is back in 2019. She was working as an X-ray tech at a hospital. And she's very math oriented, very kind of logically minded. And so she wanted to get into backend development, which is what I was working in at the time. And the only thing we could find online was front-end focused platforms, right? So learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? Make pretty websites. And backend development is a lot more about databases and logic and kind of more core computer science stuff that, there's definitely this misconception that like, if you get a CS degree, a computer science degree, you'll maybe go on to do like backend engineering. And if you want to do front end, then like you don't need a degree. But like, that's actually not true. Like half of the backend developers that I've worked with in my career didn't have a CS degree. So anyways, we were searching online and just couldn't find a platform that really focused on that side of the stack. And that's what the impetus for the platform was.
Very clear. Before we move on, just real quick, in your previous life, before the whole boot.dev, what did you do before?
Yeah, so I was a backend engineer. Specifically, I had a couple jobs as like just backend developer, specifically writing in the Go and Python programming languages. Then I moved on to, or I should say, kind of moved up the ladder a little bit, became a hiring manager, hired a bunch of Go developers. And then it was a couple of years into that where I eventually just quit. This was 2 years ago, quit to go full time on boot dev. So it was a side project for a couple of years while I was a hiring manager.
Love it. So that's a good segue to talk about today's offer. So if I was a typical client of, or let's say a prospect of yours, what's the core offer that I would buy?
What's the value proposition in marketing speak, right? Yeah. It's to become a backend developer. So our kind of target demographic is folks that have been learning to code online for say 6 months to a year and have been really struggling. They're in what we call tutorial hell. So they maybe have watched a lot of videos about how to learn to code, but they haven't really got their hands dirty. And it's a full career path. So we've got 27 courses, a bunch of projects. It's all hands-on interactive. And the end value proposition is that you become hireable as a backend engineer.
Very clear now. Okay, so let's say, hey, I am doing something, but I think if I would become an engineer and I'm like intrigued by it, I could earn much more. So how do I get as quickly as possible trained in order to land that job? So I go to boot.dev, I go on the classes, I get educated, and then after a certain amount of time, I will get hired by a company. Okay. These are all on demand. There's some group coaching. There's one to one. Like, or how does it work?
No, it's all self-paced. It's not like it's not live mentorship. So it's very scalable, which is why we've been able to grow so quickly. So it's a web-based platform. So you log in, read and watch kind of bite-sized lessons, and then you write code. So our message is actually less one of, hey, you can become a backend developer really quickly. Like, we're very against the whole marketing message of like learning to code is a get rich quick scheme.
Yeah,
It's not. It takes a long time. It's a lot of hard work. So our message is more, hey, this is going to take probably at least a year. And you're going to write a lot of code. Like, you're going to write a ton of code on our platform. You're going to write it in the browser. You're going to write it on your local machine. You're going to build real projects. And our message is more of one like, hey, you've been wandering around from site to site that's promised you that you'll become a developer in 6 weeks. We don't actually think that's true. We have this kind of longer curriculum. It's shorter than a CS degree, but it's longer than a boot camp.
if you think the creator economy is really interesting, then I got something for you. On milliondollarcreators.club, we actually created a database of all the creators out there, and you see not just their fans, followers, subscribers, but actually how much money are they making. So with that, we bring now transparency into the creator economy, and you really see how are the best of the best get their customers, price their offers, create their offer stack, get customers, which tools are they using, how will they grow and triple their business going forward. So if that's interesting for you, including lists of who makes the most revenue, who has the fastest revenue growth, who has the biggest audience, who has the fastest growing audience, who makes the most revenue per follower, and who has the most exciting offer stack from low end all the way to the high end, then go to milliondollarcreators.club and enjoy the data. Clear. If I were to interview some of your clients, what specific value in your offering would they rave most about?
Two things. The first being, this is the first platform I found that focused on backend development. That's definitely like the number one thing, but it is more of just like a checkbox, because in theory, other platforms could do more with backend development. Um, the thing that really sets us apart is the gamification. So if you go to boot.dev and look at the site, it's very fantasy themed. You get potions and loot boxes, and it's this whole interactive game where doing the challenges and the lessons is a very dopamine inducing experience. So our whole thesis is it does take a little longer to learn to code than you might think, but it actually can be a really fun and rewarding experience. And I should say fun and rewarding experience. So we just try to lean into that as heavily as we possibly can.
Clear. Real quick on price points before we move on, like these courses, is it like a monthly fee for everything, or you have like a one-time, what's that, and then on the low end, and what's it on the high end? In terms
Yeah,
of
there's
price?
just one. Yeah, there's just one membership. One interesting thing about our business model is that we're one of the only sites, one of the only paid sites where all of the content is free. So all of our lessons, all of the code, all of the videos are free. Um, it's pay for interactivity. So if you want to complete the challenges, view the solutions, get help from our like integrated AI, that's what you're paying for, and it's a monthly subscription. So um, on the high end, if you pay month to month, it's $50 a month for access to everything. And if you pay for a full year up front, then you get it what would be the equivalent of $30 a month. And then we do PPP pricing. So it kind of goes down from there based on like the purchasing power of the country you're in.
Okay, clear. What tools do you use to deliver the value? Is it custom build, or you use some service?
Yeah, well, we'd be hacks if we didn't custom build it, considering we're offering a learn to code platform. So it's all custom built. We use Go, Postgres, Google Cloud Platform. We do have like a couple kind of off the shelf solutions for various things. Like, for example, we use SendGrid for emails or Stripe for payments, but we write a lot of code.
Okay, awesome. Take me on the timeline real quick. When did you launch the business as is today?
Well, the very first version of the product, which really was not very good, I launched as a side project in 2020, right about when the coronavirus pandemic, started. So 2 years from there was when I was finally able to quit my job, and I raised a small amount of I'd consider it angel investment from an ex CEO actually that I used to work for, um, and that was fall of 2022, and so we're coming up on almost 2 years now from that
Clear.
point when I went full time.
Clear. So good sector to talk about success. How many members do you have today in your like paying members in your membership?
Paying members. Let me scroll down Stripe really quick. We're right around 7,000. I can give an exact number, I think. 7,998 as of today.
That's
Active
gonna be eight
subscribers.
eight thousand.
8,000. Yeah, we're two away from 8,000. We'll cross that threshold here in a few minutes, hopefully.
Yeah, this is amazing. Congratulations. That is 400K recurring monthly.
Well, not quite. Because purchasing power parity, coupon codes, it is lower than that, but not too much lower.
Okay, let's go with 350. And like to understand growth as well before we move on, like you see because apparently you're growing a lot. If you take the revenue from today, compare it to 12 months ago, how's that changed?
More than 10x. Let's
Holy
see.
crap! Like 10x revenue in the last 12 months.
Yeah, last April we did 17,000 in revenue for the whole month.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a crazy year of growth.
Wow,
In the
that
last
is that
12
is that
months.
is 20x.
Yeah. Yeah, to be fair, April was like a little lower. I actually think like March of last year was a little higher. I think it was like 22-ish. In fact, I can pull this up. Let's see. Yeah, so last April, hmm, can I pull this up? Yeah, okay. So last March was 27,000. Last April was 16,000. So April was just kind of a weird month. We were more in the like low 20s kind of. But yeah, more than 10x for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's outstanding. Really good. Real quick, if I were to interview your accountant, what would you tell me on the cost side, on the expenditure side? So I guess there's like, how big is the team? Like, is it you, and then that's it? A few contractors. What is like? What are the costs like? Google Cloud, and that's it.
Our biggest like fixed cost so salaries our biggest cost at the moment. There's 8 of us on the team full time. Um, I added 5 in the last several months though. So 6 months ago it was just 2 of us. Uh, and then we went to 3 of us in October, and now there's 8. So we've scaled up quite a bit. Um, 5 of us are kind of engineers. We are on the building the platform side and creating content side. I've got one dedicated video producer, and then 2 guys that kind of shift between like marketing, QA, like a bunch of the more administrative tasks. They're also quite technical, but you know, we automate a lot of things. Uh, so 8 of us. That and then that's definitely the biggest expense. The next biggest expense is actually, well, definitely marketing spend. We do a lot with like we've experimented all over the place. We talk about that in a minute, but marketing, and then um, open AI. So we have this integrated chat bot that we don't cheap out on. We use GPT-4, and it helps students with every lesson that they go through. It's honestly probably one of the best single features on the platform, and that's pretty expensive.
Clear. Good segue to talk about lead generation, customer acquisition. So, how do you get eyeballs, awareness?
Yeah. So partnerships has definitely been number one for us. We work with some content creators in the coding space. Um, this is no secret. Shout out to the Primogen, if anyone's heard of him. Like he's definitely the most influential person we work with directly, but there's definitely some other creators as well. And we kind of do a bit of like an affiliate situation, right? Where they'll promote the platform, get a percentage of sales. But we also do direct payments for content. So we'll outright buy content. Granted, that's more of an experimental thing we're doing now. So content for the platform, right? So for example, this guy, the Primogen, he's amazing. He's making a course. He's building it with us on Boot Dev, and we're just buying that content from him and then kind of doing an affiliate deal as well. That's so those partnerships have been big, and then additionally, partnerships with YouTubers that are outside of the coding niche, specifically in the gaming niche. So we'll sponsor a bunch of gaming videos, and because our audience just tends to have such an affinity for gaming, and our platform is so well tuned to cater to gamers, uh, the ROI on that spend tends to be pretty good.
Clear. What's the funnel then from awareness to purchase? So I guess someone like builds something on YouTube and then in the description or so, or in midway pre-roll, I don't know, like how does it work? How does the funnel work?
Good question. So, like, let's take the example of one of our creators who's like does World of Warcraft videos. So we've got a creator, he makes World of Warcraft videos, and he just plugs us in the middle of the video. It basically just like an ad integration, right? For like 60 seconds. Um, and it's just an outright like ad for the platform, right? It explains what we do, why you might like it. The funnel is then that people go directly to the site. They just type in boot.dev. So like in our analytics, it just looks like direct traffic for the most part. And the way we track where it came from is via coupon codes. Um, and the kind of funnel to purchase is sign up for a free account, demo the courses. So we have this like pretty generous free tier, where you can even try out all the interactive features before paying with a couple chapters of content. And then at that point, you hit a paywall and you have to decide, do I want to continue without the interactive features? So just like reading and watching, or do I want to continue being able to like pass off lessons, write code in my browser, um, keep track of my progress, all that kind of stuff. And that's where you're hit with the paywall for the membership.
Before we continue, there's one favor I would like to ask. If you enjoy what we do here and you enjoy the guests that we bring, please join Million Dollar Creators by hitting the subscribe button. And if you do, I'll make you a deal. I do everything in my power to make this show bigger and better for you. Do we have a deal? Enjoy the show. Clear. Obvious next question. And you said earlier you have 150,000 K ballpark audience, right? So what has been the secret to grow and convert, especially given the fact that you have the majority of that is an email list? So are these all these free people that come through the videos and then sign up for the free tiers? You have a lot of free members and then a small fraction of these are paid?
Yeah, I mean, like, to be fair, if people don't sign up and pay, it's pretty rare that they stick around on the platform, right? Like, we definitely have some students that have gone through the content on the free tier, um, but it's not super common. Usually, if people like the content and they're getting the value from it, right? If the value proposition lines up with their life, they want to become a backend engineer and they have that disposable income of, depending on what country you're in, it could be even as low as like $10 a month up to $50 a month. Um, they usually just sign up for the paid product. So like all that to say, our paid memberships are at 8,000 right now. Like that's our really kind of active, dedicated
Yeah.
user base. Everyone else is on the mailing list, right? They'll hear about our updates. They convert from time to time, of course, when we send out, announcements of new courses and things like that. But in terms of active users, it's closer to the 8,000 number.
Interesting. So that means if I take the emailing list out for a second because I say, hey, these are people that signed up, but then at some point maybe didn't use it anymore, that reduces down to 50 down to 20,000 almost. And that means actually that you have built a really decent six-figure business with just 20,000 followers through a strong channel, which is partnerships. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that's the biggest thing. It's definitely not the only thing we do. We have our own podcast, Backend Banter, where we just talk about backend development and careers, and that's been fantastic. I've only been doing that for about 8 months now, but that's been great. We have our own YouTube channel. I've done like long form courses on Free Code Camp's YouTube channel. So Free Code Camp's this amazing free resource. They have a YouTube channel with like 9 million subscribers, and they allow creators to come in and make free,
Okay.
high value
Perfect.
courses on their platform. That's been a huge way to,
Yeah,
get new people as well.
that makes sense. Let's talk about the future then. You're on a great run. Could you triple your business in the next 12 months by
Could I
yourself?
triple the business in the next 12 months?
Yeah,
Um,
with the resources that
definitely
you have.
not. Definitely not by myself. I'm very hopeful that me and the team can triple our business in the next 12 months, though. Our,
Okay,
our goal is actually right around triple. I think you basically guessed it.
and what strategy or tactic will get you to that massive growth then over the next 12 months?
So, number one is definitely just fighting churn and retention as much as we can. So the education space is not the SaaS space, and that's very important to understand if you're getting into this industry. Because if you have a great SaaS product, your churn will be low single digits on a monthly basis. People sign up, they like your product, they're going to stick around for a long time, right? People don't cancel the tool they use to send emails unless they're dissatisfied for some reason. When you're selling educational content, it's different. People sign up, maybe they wanted 3 courses, they take those 3 courses and then they're done,
Yeah.
right? But we've identified that like the single biggest way to make an impact is to make sure that in those first couple of courses that we offer, the experience is as smooth as it can possibly be and as rewarding. So it's like, how can you make it easy and yet the learning is still high? And we're making as many tweaks as we can there. And then it's really scaling up like just distribution, so marketing channels, YouTube partnerships, things like that. But I think the long-term success will be because it really is the most
Yeah.
addictive platform for learning to code.
Biggest thing that's holding you back on that, personally?
Um, Hiring is always tough. Like finding the right people is challenging, and that's not like an easily automatable or scalable process. Everything in our business, for the most part, is automatable and scalable. Right? We're all engineers. We know how to scale things up. But hiring is tricky, and that's that's just always a challenge for everyone. So
100%. Next section is called Favorite 5. It's a fast-paced section. I'm going to increase the speed. You can answer if you want with one word. Let's go. What's your favorite book or business book?
The Purple Cow, Seth Godin.
What's your favorite to get inspiration or learn and grow?
Favorite book?
Favorite way to get inspiration or to learn and grow?
Podcasts.
What's the favorite person that you are studying, your role model?
Oh no. I don't have one right. I can't think of any single person. I
Top.
study a lot of people, but everyone has too big of flaws for me to to like say one person's name.
Okay. What's your favorite online tool for building your company?
Stripe.
What's the biggest thing on your mind right now?
Hiring.
Personal section. How many hours do you work per week?
60.
What's the situation? Married, single, any kids? I think you said you're married.
Yeah, married, 2 kids under 3, 3 and under.
Nah, I have 2 under 2. Like 1 and 2 is like crazy. So
yeah. I'm 3 and 1.
yeah, it's insane. What's your age?
29.
Awesome. Last question. We also want to give some advice to the audience. If you could go back in time and have a conversation with your 20-year-old self, what's the best piece of advice that you would give to your younger self?
At 20?
At 20, yeah.
This will be an interesting answer that it's not going to be helpful to anyone. At 20, I was on a Mormon mission, and it would have been to just go home because I'm no longer religious, and that was a lot of time to spend on something that I ended up leaving anyways.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, this is Lane Wagner. He's sharing teachings at boot.dev that help normal engineers become elite backend engineers. He actually started this whole thing thanks to his wife, who wanted to become a backend engineer, and there was nothing out there. So he decided that actually they could build this thing to focus really on backend and teach people to level up on that. And that became a reality. And today it's a really good 6-figure business. One really good insight to grow this to that size was partnerships with, for example, YouTubers that do something, and then ultimately you can then get a free tutorial on boot.dev. And if you want to see the solution, you actually have to sign up. Price points are low, $50 a month. It's a very simple thing, pretty much automated. The system itself, though, is built by 8 people, 5 of them engineers, and then a marketer, a video producer. And that's why it's just important, because they want to make the product really good, and it has to be gamified and addictive so that people stick and really level up and ultimately land that dream job. And I think they're doing a great job, great trajectory. We will crack 7 figures soon. Very excited to see that. Lane, thank you so much for sharing your passion and taking us to the next level.
Thanks, Matt. Great to meet you.
That was Lane Wagner. You learned how to spot gaps in the market and use it to your advantage. So how can you unlock the next level in your business?